Hello folks and welcome back to another action movie recommendation. Now lately I've been on a bit of a Jackie Chan binge, just watching a majority of his classics from the 70s to the early to mid 90s. And I thought to myself, well, why not review one of his films? But it turns out I will be reviewing 5 of his films because today I'll be reviewing Jackie Chan's Police Story series. That's right, from the original 1985 film to the 2004 reboot New Police Story. Now I know there has been yet another reboot called Police Story 2013, aka Police Story Lockdown, but I have not seen that one yet and I can't find it in DVD stores anywhere, so I'll have to put that one on hold for now. But before I start, let's talk about Jackie Chan for a little bit. Born in Hong Kong, Jackie Chan at a very young age studied martial arts, acrobatics and acting at the Peking Opera School and became very proficient in those areas. In the 70s he worked as a stuntman/actor, but eventually had breakthrough success with the 1978 film Snake and the Eagle's Shadow. And from that day on, Jackie starred in a string of martial arts films that would go on to become classics of their genre. While Jackie had tried to break out into the American market in the 80s with movies like Battle Creek Brawl and The Protector, those films didn't really showcase Jackie's talents at their best, mainly due to restrictions being placed on Jackie. He basically had no control or say when it came to the action. It wasn't until the mid-90s where mainstream audiences finally got to see Jackie's talent shine, with movies like Rumble in the Bronx and the Rush Hour series. Jackie is still making movies today and occasionally he has a hit, but as of recently his ability to bring in box office dollars tends to fluctuate. My first experience with seeing a Jackie Chan movie was seeing the end fight of one of his early films, that film being Fearless Hyena, but it wasn't until I saw Jackie Chan's Police Story 2 that I officially became a fan. But oddly enough, Police Story 2 was marketed as the first police story on the Australian VHS. I don't know why, but anyways, when I saw Police Story 2, I was hooked and started renting pretty much all of the Jackie Chan films at my local video store. I think I was about 9 or 10 at the time and I was just blown away by his action scenes and comedic abilities. So seeing that Police Story 2 was the film that made me a Jackie Chan fan for life, it's only fitting that I review almost all the Police Story films. Like I said, I haven't seen the latest one yet, but when I do, I will do a separate review for it. So, let's start off with the first film in the series, 1985's Police Story. Jackie Chan is Detective Kevin Chan of the Hong Kong Police. After capturing a drug kingpin by the name of Chu Tao, he is assigned to protect Chu's girlfriend, a key witness that could put him away for good. However, the protection of Chu's girlfriend leads to Kevin being framed for a murder. So it's now up to Kevin to not only keep Chu's girlfriend alive, but also clear his own name. Police Story is quite possibly for many people the quintessential Jackie Chan film, as it features all the hallmarks of his style of action comedy. Jackie's usual mischievous yet witty personality is present as always, but of course there's his usual why me moments, which to me personally are some of his funniest and most undervalued moments. The villains in this movie are memorable in the sense that they are just a bunch of assholes and you just want to see Jackie kick their asses, but they aren't defined as well as I would like them to have been. The action scenes are incredible, the highlights being the opening action scene where Jackie drives a car down a shantytown, and of course the mall fight in the end, which is insane. Jackie looks like he's really getting hurt, and that's because half of the time he is. No stunt doubles, hardly any protection, and the fake glass was made much thicker so it would look more realistic. And ironically, the fake glass also led to injury. All of the cuts on Jackie and the stunt team are real, but the most shocking aspect of the film is the injuries Jackie sustained. He suffered from electrocution, burns to his skin, and a dislocated pelvis when he jumped down the light pole. He did that stunt all for the sake of entertainment. It's just crazy. If the movie has any problems, the action does slow down from the middle portion of the film. While there's some fun stuff in the middle of the film, it could have used maybe a couple more fight scenes to spice up the pace just a little bit more. Or they could have cut out some pointless scenes like Jackie doing the police photo shoots. But aside from that, I love this movie. The movie has funny humour, a well-rounded story, incredible action scenes, and a catchy theme song which Jackie also happens to sing. The movie was a huge success in Hong Kong, and critically it got a positive response. And rightfully so. It's awesome. I give it 4.5 out of 5. In 1988, Police Story 2 arrived and was an even bigger success at the Hong Kong box office. And this, of course, was the first Jackie Chan movie I saw all the way through. And I was just blown away by Jackie's fight and stunt scenes as well as his humour. And from that day on, I became a huge fan. Police Story 2 is considered to be a bit of a step down from Police Story 1, but I personally enjoy this one just a little bit more. The plot involves Jackie's character Kevin being demoted to traffic duty after the events of the first film. However, things change when the villain of the first film is given an early release and sends his men to rough up Jackie and his girlfriend May. And if that's not enough, the city is also being held ransom from terrorists who are threatening to bomb the city if their demands are not met. Okay, so why do I like this movie better than the first one? Well, for one, the pacing of this film is much better, and the action level has been cranked up even more. And the new villains in this film are very well defined and very determined to reach their goal. And even the villains from the first film are also better defined this time around, particularly Chu's right-hand man, John Ko. Jackie does a great job in his role as always, and his girlfriend May, played by the lovely Maggie Cheung, is also likeable. She was in the first film as well, but she didn't really get as much screen time as she does in this film. There's a couple of very humorous scenes between her and Jackie which provide some chuckles. However, another one of the most memorable characters in this movie is Benny Lay, who plays one of the terrorists. He's very unassuming at first, but then surprises you by kicking the crap out of Jackie. The final fight in the fireworks factory is definitely a highlight in which Benny gives Jackie a really hard time. But my favourite scene in the movie is quite possibly the park fight scene where Jackie is being attacked by John Ko's thugs. It's just brutal. If there's any problems with this movie, the plot isn't as emotionally engaging as the first film, which is a shame because the first Police Story kind of got you involved with its story, whereas in this movie the story is much simpler and it's all about the action. However, I still really enjoy this film for all its positives, and it does what a sequel is supposed to do, be bigger. Whether bigger is better or not is up to the audience. Critically, it was well received and it made more money, so it must have done something right. And seeing that Jackie's talents lie in his action and comedy, this movie gives you more, so therefore I personally like this one just a bit more than the first. Overall, it gets the perfect score from me, 5 out of 5. Then in 1992 came Police Story 3, aka Super Cop. Now believe it or not, I didn't see this movie until late last year. Why the long wait? Well, it's because Police Story 3, to my knowledge, was never released in Australia, and in most places it was marketed as Super Cop, because I later found out that this movie was released in US theatres, and they thought it would be better to market it as a standalone film. And the Super Cop title always made me cringe. It sounded like a direct-to-video title, so I avoided it. Until, of course, upon further research, I found out that Super Cop was indeed Police Story 3. And I just freaked out and I was like, how the hell did I miss this? And just recently, as far as I know, Police Story 3 was released for the first time in Australia on DVD, subtitled. So naturally, I bought it right away and popped it into my DVD player and started to watch it. In this movie, Jackie teams up with a female counterpart to take down a Chinese drug lord. And believe it or not, this is probably the best written police story overall. The idea of Jackie being sent into a prison to befriend a drug lord and have him lead Jackie into the heart of his operations is a great setup. And throwing in Michelle Yeoh as Jackie's partner was a bonus because she kicks so much ass in this film. And even Maggie Cheung reappears once more as Jackie's girlfriend May, and of course hilarity ensues. However, as much as I like the story, the pairing of Jackie and Michelle, and the return of May, the action in this film, while good, just didn't blow me away like the first two films did. This movie doesn't really have any memorable fight scenes like the first two did. Probably the best part of this movie is the scene where Jackie is hanging off the ladder of a helicopter. And there's also a cool scene in the jungle where a huge gunfight ensues and you get to see Jackie go full-on Rambo, which is something he never really does in his films. The villains in this movie are probably the best written and acted, but for some reason they just don't feel as intimidating or surprising as the villains in the previous two films. But this is just my opinion. In the end, the movie was a success at the box office and got 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, higher actually than the first two. Police Story 1 got 83% and Police Story 2 got 86%. So there you go. However, even though I didn't like this film as much as the first two, I still recommend it as it is very entertaining. And for me, this is where the classic Police Story series ended. Overall, I give this one 3.5 out of 5. Definitely worth a watch. In 1996, Police Story 4 arrived, and believe it or not, it was also retitled in most territories under the name of First Strike. The plot involves Jackie having to recover a stolen nuclear warhead. Okay, now, I'm gonna be honest here folks, I didn't like this movie that much. It is without question my least favourite of the Police Story series so far. Why? Well, for one, it strayed so far from what the previous Police Story films were. This movie tries too hard to be like a James Bond film and it just doesn't really work. The plot becomes convoluted and you really don't care about it, and you don't really care about anyone else in this film. Aside from Jackie, pretty much everyone from the first three films is gone, with the exception of the character of Uncle Bill, who I have to mention was in the first three films as sort of a comic relief and supporter for Jackie's character. And this is his last appearance in the Police Story series. And I must say the villains are unmemorable and really don't stand out for me at all. The only positive thing I can say about Police Story 4 was Jackie was still likeable as always, and the fight scenes in particular were more engaging than the previous film, but that's really all this movie has to offer. It's by no means a terrible film, but it's just very generic, and it comes off as desperate with its James Bond-like plot and elements. And you start to question the logic of the movie in general, because how did we go from Jackie being a Hong Kong detective to suddenly becoming involved in espionage working with the CIA? For me, this one just sticks out like a sore thumb, and honestly, I personally can't recommend it. Sure, it has a cool fight scene or two, probably the best scene is when Jackie's using a ladder to fight the bad guys, but I really just don't find this one memorable. It doesn't click for me. So overall, I'm going to give this one 2 out of 5. Now, after Police Story 4 came and went, it seemed like that was the end of the series, and for the most part, it was. That is until, of course, in 2004, Jackie Chan released New Police Story, a title that was kinda dumb because it's only new until they make the next one. Anyways, New Police Story is basically an outright reboot of the series. Jackie's name is no longer Kevin Chan, or Ka Kui as it's known in Cantonese, and the tone of the film is dead serious. To my recollection, there's no humour whatsoever in this film. The plot involves Jackie's character of Chan Kwok Wing, who's now a senior inspector leading his team of officers to take down some criminals. However, the mission goes wrong and his team is brutally killed, and Jackie is left bearing the guilt of what happened and becomes a drunk. However, Chan is assigned a new partner, and his new partner helps him to get his shit together and find the crooks who killed his team. Now, I must say, this is a great movie from Jackie, a highly dramatic action thriller that grabs you by the throat and doesn't let go. But I think having it being named New Police Story is just confusing and rather silly because, like I said, it's only new until they make the next one. If anything, this movie feels more along the lines of another serious Jackie Chan film, which was 1993's Crime Story. So why didn't they just call this Crime Story 2 or something else? But anyways, Jackie does an excellent job here playing the broken down drunk cop, and you really feel his pain when his team is killed. And all the other cast members, including Jackie's new partner and the villains, are all great and very memorable. Now, the action in the film is very good and very intense, but I wouldn't say it's the most memorable of Jackie's work. The highlight for me has to be the fight in the Lego store. That scene was really cool. I really don't have any problems with this film other than it can be a bit depressing for some viewers, and being that this is a Jackie Chan movie, I expected at least a couple of light moments here and there, but from what I recall, it doesn't really seem to have any of that. And also the title, it just shouldn't be called New Police Story. But I guess they needed to have a familiar name, so that's why they called it that. But overall, I give this one 4 out of 5. It's really good. Just don't go in expecting your usual comedic action style that Jackie is known for. Now, as I stated in the beginning, I have not seen Police Story 2013, aka Police Story Lockdown, so I can't comment on that other than it's yet another reboot of the franchise, with Jackie once again playing a different character, and the film looks grittier than the previous film, but I've heard very mixed reviews on it. Some people love it, some people hate it, but when I do see the film, I will definitely post a review for it. So thank you all for watching, folks, and stay tuned for more.